I am Cassandra Thomas. I am an actress and a producer from London. We recently did a film about crop circles called In Circles with director and writer Johnny Hearn, of which I was very lucky to play Lara, who was a Brazilian journalist in the film. It was a documentary drama, so docudrama, and quite interesting in that way because it combined, obviously, what was trying to be a feature film with a documentary. So there was a story within the documentary about this journalist and her love affair with one of the characters. And it was, very much all about her discovery of crop circles, and she was very skeptic at the beginning as to why people make them. And in the end, she basically realizes, obviously, that there's certainly a message that comes through in whatever way that you want to think of that to the artist that actually makes it. So it explains and explores lots of different versions of and beliefs of crop circles, but it doesn't give you a specific answer or a specific point of view. So it's left open for the audience. I played Lara, a Brazilian journalist, and she was brought in, sent over from Brazil to the UK to go to Wiltshire and with an English journalist that she absolutely hated. So they fought like mad because he was very much a believer and she just wanted to get a good story as a journalist. And she was quite brutal with the family that were making the crop circles. Eventually she falls in love with the son of the crop circle maker, and she realizes actually there's far more to it behind the making of it, and she suddenly becomes very interested. So the journey is Lara discovering different possibilities, and she becomes very interested in crop circles. Well, no, because the character that I play, the journalist, she goes to obviously Wiltshire and to all these centres where everyone believes in lots of different things of it, and she interviews them. So the film explores a different point of view, so UFOs or spiritual connection or whatever, but the film does not give you an answer. So what it does do is it shows the family, so the designer, the artist who makes it, and he has these flashbacks, these incredibly powerful connections from whatever you want to call it, from God, from, he receives these messages and he has to make these crop circles. So he's forced to. And so however you interpret that, whether that's divine intervention or UFOs communicating or, whatever, but it's much more about how it affects the person that makes it, because from our perspective in the film, someone makes it. It's not a creature. It's someone. It's just why they make it. That's the most important question. Why do they have to do it? The film sort of shows 3 or 4 crop circles, and it looks at different healers and people that come to visit the crop circles for whatever purpose they want. So it might be to come and meditate, but essentially there is a whole energy and some sort of communication energy around the finished crop circle, and people come and see it for whatever reason, whether it's to communicate to themselves, to their soul, to whoever. So that's what the film looks at. Not intentionally. I don't think the director, he's a film director. He's not normally a documentary writer or director. So, but I don't think so, because the chap who wrote it, Johnny Hearn, he is from there, and he grew up with the boys. There's 2 people that make them in the film, and actually we had on set the makers. So the characters played people that we knew in real life. So, it was a complete true life story rather than mimicking another film. So, yeah, it's. Well, the reason obviously is that you can't enter. What makes it very mystical, and questionable is that actually physically you can't come into the you can't break. You have to have an access into the circle. Do you see what I mean? So when you make a crop circle, you have a plank of wood, and you have string, and you stamp, with the string, and you stamp the actual pattern all the way round. But how can you get into the circle? That's the trick. So when you, that's when you define whether an artist or a person has done it, or if it's more unusual that there's no actual access, because you can't actually get into the circle unless you can probably put the crops back up. But I think that's what people find very strange. But actually, it's an amazing piece of art, and more often than not, it's actually someone who loves doing designs in a field, and they feel compelled to do it. Whether you need to look further into it, I personally just think that's rubbish. And I'm quite a spiritual person, but I don't think that there's any logic behind it. Whether someone has a beautiful connection or a need to do it because God has spoken to them and they have this design and they have to communicate to the rest of the world through this drawing, fine. But UFOs, I just think that's absolutely ridiculous. Well, that's where we set the whole film. The barge in, and we knew the owners. He let us film there every day. We were there for a month. I don't know. There's a lot of propaganda, and people make a lot of money from it. So also on the farmer's point of view, I mean, I live in the countryside. Funnily enough, when we were filming, I had friends who owned the land. And I was staying with them while I was filming, and they just said, "Cassandra, what the hell are you doing? It's my land. What are you doing?" We hate these crop circle makers because, the farmers hate them because they obviously ruin their crops. And they're just hippies that think that they can just go into someone's land and, draw a pattern on someone else's land. And the farmers, as you can see in the film, they go crazy. So, and also, but some farmers in Wiltshire make a lot of money from charging to go into their fields. So it's propaganda, I think. But, anyone can believe what they want. So the film, we shot it in 2013. It was a very low-budget film, minute, so we were very lucky to have it made, only because the director and the writer is someone that everyone loves, and he's very respected, so we all wanted to work on this project, and so it's taken us 4 years to get distribution. And we've just got distribution in the US, and so you can watch In Circles on Amazon.com. You can buy it or rent it. And then I think in a few weeks, we've got distribution in the UK. We need to arrange distribution. Can you arrange that? It won't be on Netflix. We don't have a distribution deal with Netflix. Only with Amazon, but you won't be able to see it in Brazil because there's no distribution rights. But we can, maybe in the future we can look at that.
Cassandra, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Adorable, lovely interview.
Muito obrigada. Tchau.